welcome in everybody to viewer comments tonight. You see it in the title. You ask, I answer. Let's get into it. Welcome in to a little Wednesday night viewer comments. If you want to be a part of the show, any question you got for us, by us, I mean me, unless Grant or Josh decide to join me tonight. They usually don't. They got a lot of stuff going on. All you have to do is call the fan line. It is open right now, 501-830-5255. Something that I really enjoy to do. Everybody out there got a couple questions going on. I see Razorback Pride is in the house. Good evening, Razorback Pride. How are you doing? Timothy is in here saying, DJ, what's going on? 4th and 5. One of our loyal ones, Alex Shirley, is in the chat as well. Ty Humphreys with us, Dennis Mitchell as well. As always with viewer comments, I kind of sit back, relax. We're in no rush. As the questions start coming in, I'll put them up on the screen here in a little bit. But obviously our bread and butter is when football season comes around. But we want to just keep things going. The whole point of us doing the morning show was not to just be everywhere when it comes to football coverage during football season, and then we disappear. All right, we wanted to do something to where we have year-round connection with our fans, all that good stuff, people who like to see our content. But yeah, we all know football is our bread and butter. So any questions right now when it comes to football? My mom is in the chat right now saying hi, baby. She's actually with Coach Silverfield, with a lot of Razorback fans right now, as he is on his road tour. He is in Little Rock. And so pretty cool stuff that he's hitting his all-in tour. I think he's at the Real Yards. Just got a picture from my former co-host over there at the Buzz, Justin Acree. He saw my mom and Miss Donna. All right, y'all, let's get into some questions. We already got a super chat in. What's up, Chris Caver? How you doing, my friend? Let me go ahead and pull that up right now. We'll go through some of these comments. Once again, you ask and I answer. Anything you can think of, now is the night. Super chat coming in from Chris Caver. Compare and contrast Bobby Petrino and Mike McCarthy's offense. In which ways are they similar and different? Details, please. So I will say, yes, you have their traditional spread offense. West Coast offense is what Mike McCarthy likes. He loves verticals. He loves seams down the field, especially in the outsides. You're going to have a lot of, depending on what the coverage is, type routes on the outside. Will they convert it, or will they, hook up around 15, or 12 yards down the field? That's a big thing with him. Also, with the inside guys, he likes to give flexibility for the quarterback to kind of depend on what the coverage is, understanding that they have to be on the same page with the inside receiver. A lot of option routes. But the 4 verticals, I would say, is the biggest part of the passing game. 2 high safeties. Make sure you go outside the hash and make sure you keep everything kind of wide open, so the middle of the field really opens up. Single high safety. The 3rd vertical has to get across the field. I know we're getting a little too inside football with this. Now, the difference between him and Coach Petrino's offense, I would say Coach Petrino's offense really depends on who he has. I think, in my opinion, he kind of got used to the whole read option thing when he inherited Lamar Jackson. I think he inherited him when he went to Louisville over there. He understood he couldn't run the same type of, 4 receivers out, even including the tight end, 1 back. He was saying, I have to incorporate this weapon that I have in the backfield. And so I think lately you've seen a different form of Petrino's offense than what we are traditionally used to, but you can still see he implemented an extremely balanced offense. A lot of people think Coach Petrino's pass first. I would say he's a run-first guy because he understands if you can't get that established, it does nothing for the passing game. And I would say McCarthy is more of a let's air this thing out, and we'll use it back when we need it. I would say that's a big difference between the two. But run game, run game. When I got to Green Bay, it was on a number system. What was our coach's name? Coach Philman, who ended up being the head coach for Miami. Joe Philman, I think that's right. He always said, if you can count to 3, you can play in this offense, because it was always a number system of what the blocking scheme led to. The run game with Coach Petrino's offense was a little bit more, you have to understand the front. And depending on what the front had as a defense, let you know who you're supposed to block. So you really had to know the personnel. Whereas in the Green Bay Packers offense, you just had to go 1, 2, 3, and I got one of the 3. Miss Donna is listening on the drive home. She heard from Silverfield, and she said that she likes him. All right. I will say this. It is a very popular opinion with Ryan Silverfield. People ask me about him all the time. DJ, what do you think about the head coach? Great guy. We all know this. And if Coach Ryan Silverfield is listening to this right now, I think he would agree with me as saying you can have the nicest guy in the world and you can say all the right things, but at the end of the day, it comes down to performance. That's just sports, especially at this level in college. He for dang sure was used to it in the NFL. Coach Pittman, very likable individual, but it came down to, hey, can we go win some football games? All right, let's get through a few more of these questions. Alex Shirley, wish he would have went and saw Coach Ryan Silverfield here in Little Rock. Now he's going to some more stops. I'm not sure where they are, but maybe you can catch him on one of those. Timothy 7415 says, what do you think of a Friday night SEC football game every week? I think Friday night belongs to high school football. That's just my opinion. It may be nostalgia for me. I don't know, but I think Friday nights should be for high school football. Saturdays I like for college football. Sundays I like for NFL. I like Monday. I mean, I think Saturday is I'm just big Saturday proponent for college football. Just feels right. Just feels right. This is from Landon Martin. Landon Martin says, DJ, if you and Grant Cook were to switch positions when you guys played, who would be more successful? All right, I'm going to do a follow-up. Are we still the same size? Is Grant big offensive lineman and I the size I was? All right, let me know that first. I already feel like I know what I'm going to answer. I just need you to give me a little bit more on that question. That one's brought up once again by, who is this from? Yeah, Landon Martin. Let me know. All right, so let's bring up another one. This is from Shep87. What are your thoughts on Arkansas being 13th in the SEC in terms of donations? All sports combined with 37 million. Texas is at the top. Is that right? Did you add a 1 by accident? Surely that's not 167 million, right? SEC, Arkansas. And is this just for football? There's no way. I'm hoping you meant to say 67 million. Do we have a chance to realistically compete? If the gap is that big and Texas is at 1, then what's A&M look like in LSU? That has to be a typo. Somebody tell me it is. All right, y'all. Here we go. This is from, what's up, Eric? Eric Mims is in the house. Landon Martin says, DJ, what could Coach Petrino do? What would he do if you called him Bobby at practice? I mean, I honestly don't know because it's never happened. I would just assume it would be a couple cuss words and reminding me to respect the position. But things have changed because I've heard players call him Bobby. Oh, you know Bobby. I'm not used to that. Always caught me off guard whenever I'd hear that. All right, let's get to a couple more questions. This one comes in from Dennis. Dennis Mitchell, what you got for me? Can Arkansas ever compete in modern NIL without several big-time boosters? I feel we are 2 steps behind the top 25 teams in addition to little to no grassroots support. Gotta change. Yeah, the grassroots support comes from winning. And to get to winning, you have to field a competitive team. And I know y'all don't like hearing this, all right? But I'm going to stand by what I've always said. Last year, even though we were 2-10, it wasn't as bad. We weren't as bad as a football team as the record reflected. We were very, very close to being a 6 to 7 win football team. Now, I don't know what that would have done as far as, a coaching change. I would assume it would have changed anyway. But I think it would help some grassroots fans that don't really have a lot of extra money to spare when they feel like their program is respectable. They maybe, I got to give a little bit to my Hogs. But when you're 2-10 and the laughing stock of the league, it's tougher to get those people to put in some money when they really don't have spare money laying around. And so, yeah, I think a couple good years under Silverfield, getting back to a competitive state, hopefully getting to a bowl game in year 1. Yeah, I said it. That's the goal for sure. And then growing on top of that, I think it gets people a little bit more involved and they start seeing, okay, I can see the investment. I feel good on weekends. I'm a diehard Razorback fan. and I can go through my Saturday at the end of the day, drink me a cold beer, and be like, "Hey, you see them Hogs today?" It's been a while since we've been able to say that. I think that may help the cause. All right, here we go. Josh said, "I heard that the talent is weaker this year versus last. Is that true? It just depends on where. Ooh, I think our receivers. Hold on. Omega Blake. I think our receivers this year are better. I'll say that. I think running back, we had a better running back last year, but I think the running back room as a whole is better this year. But still, no Mike Washington hurts. Hurts. Quarterback position, it's going to be a toss-up, y'all. It really is. It's going to come down to decision-making and all that good stuff. Defensive line, I would say we're about where we were last year right now, and I know that's not very encouraging. Linebacker, oh, man, we were just bad last year. You know, you had Dix and Sorey, but they both had really bad years last year. Secondary, you know what? I hope it's better this year. Offensive line, looking pretty decent this year. I'll give him that. All right, here goes. Miss Donna says, Miss Donna and Alex, Friday night should be for high school. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. Donna agrees. There we go. Landon Martin, follow up to your answer. He asked earlier if Grant and I switch positions, who would do better? Same size, no change in stature. Oh, man. So if Grant Cook played tight end and I went in and played guard, Grant would do better. I'm not going to roast my boy because he's not here. I'm going to keep it honest with you. I call a spade a spade. Grant's an athlete, y'all. Really, really good athlete. And so he was a basketball player in high school. I want to say he maybe even played tight end. But, yeah, he put on some weight. So he'd be about a 300-plus pound tight end out there. But he could move. He could move. I'll give him that. I would get tossed around at, 240 as a guard? Nah, I don't stand no chance. Not in there. I mean, I can sit here and act tough all I want, but sometimes size matters. Does. All right, y'all. Okay, you weren't lying about how much money they raised. 167 that they have raised for all sports. And for all sports at Arkansas, we've raised 37 million. Jeez. Sheesh. It's going to be tough to compete. It's going to be tough to compete. Why you got to tell me that? It's posted on On3. Send me a, what are you, you're on YouTube. If you can go to my Facebook page, Shep83, and try to send me a link to that, I'd like to potentially talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, I know. It was Chris Caver. Chris Caver, when Carmona said, Bobby, that's my boy. I posted that video a long time ago. And you remember that? You remember when I posted that video of when the offensive linemen were singing after practice. You know, they were passing the mic around, and some guy started singing Fast Car by Luke Combs. I can't remember who it was. But I just remember them giggling, smiling, laughing, doing all that stuff. And I said then, something just ain't sitting right with me. And then Eric Mateos, he went on social media and said, you know, football's about having fun too. It was kind of a subtle jab at me giving them a hard time for having fun. And I said, there's nothing wrong with having fun. It's more so just right after practice that they didn't seem very tired, that threw me off, and they're calling Coach Petrino by Bobby. I said, I'm a little worried. And then they ended up having a really, really bad year on the offensive line that year. You got to tighten up, lock in. Yes. I don't know. Girlfriend's looking for her dog. Our dog. It's really her dog, but I inherited the dog. But I love him though. Take him as my own. All right, let's get through a few more of these. Jonathan Armstrong is in the house saying, what's up to everyone? What's going on, man? Here we go. Would you trade Silverfield for James Franklin? No. I'm honest. No. Here we go. Landon, you're on fire tonight. Asking the questions. How do you think Coach Casey's offense will translate to the SEC? Coach Casey. I know they beat us last year, but our defense was trash. Coach Casey's. Who's Coach Casey? We'll translate over to the. I know they beat us last year. Cramsey, Coach Cramsey, Tim Cramsey. I'm assuming the offensive coordinator is what you're trying to say. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I see you corrected it. It does worry me just a smidge because it is very gimmicky. The tunnel screens, the very short passes, the quick game. You really have to be on the same page. A true RPO where you're given 3 options for your quarterback on a lot of plays, a lot of decision making. Like if it's done right and the people are polished and they got great chemistry and everybody's on the same page, it's a very difficult offense to stop. But man, if you're not clicking on all cylinders, you could find yourself in some trouble. All right. So that's going to be a little bit of a let's sit back and ask me after week 2 how I feel about it. Okay. All right. Let's keep it going. This is from Dennis Mitchell. There was a time I felt our football hogs could compete with anyone. I haven't felt that since the motorcycle hit the ditch. That was the thing. There was a time, and I was a part of that little transition period. So my freshman year, I came in. Obviously, you got D-Mac and Felix. Like those two in the huddle, it didn't matter who we lined up against. You didn't see an ounce of like, ooh, this is going to be a tough game. They just wanted to go out there and beat someone's ass every single Saturday. Like they had so much confidence and swagger, as they should. They were the best players in the country. And then after they left, Petrino's first year, not going to lie, we went down to Texas. We played Alabama. And you could kind of see it like, oh, this is going to be tough. You know, we're going to try to work our best and try to compete. And then by the time it was my senior year, it was just like, we want to line up and whoop everybody's ass. Like we really went on the field thinking each and every day when we got off the bus and on the field and lined up that we were going to win every single game. And the ones we lost, we were just like, ugh, Alabama, Auburn, ugh, still drives us mad. Did not expect Cam Newton to have that type of day. God, that was a special year. 2010 was fun. 2011 was fun. I wasn't even there, but I was watching it my rookie year at Green Bay. It was so fun. I was a rookie at Green Bay, and the coach asked us to put our school. So Jermichael Finley, Texas. We had Andrew Corliss, Penn State. Ryan Taylor, North Carolina. Crabtree. Dang, where'd Tom Crabtree go to school? It was like Miami, Ohio, something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, he had us put all of our colleges on the board, and he said, how many wins do you think they'll have this year? And I put 10. They said, what? That's when people were sleeping on Arkansas. I said, I'm telling y'all, this team is special. We ended up winning 11 that year. After week 3, Coach Ben McAdoo, he went into that meeting and he grabbed his little pen like this and he went up on that board right next to Arkansas up there. And he says, DJ might be on to something. They saw how special that team was in 2011. Really, really good team. All right, here we go. Question from Lance. And you got scolded for bringing it up. I did get scolded for bringing it up. I don't care. It is what it is. Good save. I think I remember what you're talking about. Here we go. Another message from Chris Caver in the house. Got our if our D-line isn't better this year than last year, then I'm really concerned. I'm concerned too. It's going to be a different style of defense with this jack position. You got to figure out ways. So you notice Quincy, once they started moving him inside to the going one-on-one, creating those situations with the guard, he was much more productive. You know, if they're going to keep him on the outside, primarily pass rush and be an element in the run game as well, which you have to in this type of defense. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do because they can't keep him out there all the time because then you have a tight end. If Quincy's having a day, he can get chipped by a running back on the edge of the line of scrimmage to help out an offensive tackle. A tight end can help. If you can get him isolated, that means the Davian Sims or Hunter Osborne, they're going to have to get involved. They're going to have to move them around, and they're going to have to be effective on the edge. And I ain't going to lie, when I watch them pass rush on the edge, they just try to bull rush and bully their way through, and it ain't doing nothing. You know, you're doing a whole bunch of just fighting, hand pushing. That's what the offensive linemen want. Okay, they can do that all day. So I'm very excited to see what they do. Very very excited to see what they're going to do in the offseason. I think if those two can develop, it'll be huge for Arkansas on the defensive line. I'm really hoping that they do. All right, we got a message coming in from Lance. Is 4th and 5 able to get Trey Biddy on for morning shenanigans? Maybe. I know Trey does stuff with the buzz. I would love to have Trey on. I don't think Trey would come on our show because I feel like he may see we're a little too similar in what we're trying to do on the digital platform, which I get and I understand. This is what's difficult. I really want to work with a lot of these people. Like I love Tom Murphy. I love Trey Biddy. I like Best of Arkansas Sports. And like I would really like to work with these guys and get them onto our show and let's just talk football. It's just like, I feel like they feel like we're all in the same lane and it wouldn't be good. I don't know, but I don't really worry about those things. I just think I really respect their opinions and it would be really cool to have them on our show, but I could get why they would just want to save it for their show. It is all good, whatever. Maybe one day we can all have one big joint podcast where we all get together, send in our links, and we just talk. Something I've wanted to do before, but I've been advised against it. You ever see people on social media, they watch things and then they just sit back and then they kind of give their opinions about what they watch? I would love to go and just swipe through podcasts. Who we got? Biddies. You got Inside Arkansas's, Locked On. You got a couple of people out there who have podcasts talking about Razorback football. Football would be a little bit more my lane. And so I wouldn't really try to do this during basketball, baseball season, because I don't know. I feel like my opinion should not be as valued as much as it is in football. But I would love just to watch them and kind of scroll through them and kind of say, okay, I see that. Or like, I was told not to do that. Review, I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe if we get it sponsored. If we get it sponsored, we'll dang near do anything. Not everything, but close to it. All right, here we go. This is from Popsy. Who has more decisions to make, a quarterback in Ramsey or Petrino's? I would say Cramsey's. I really would say Cramsey's because he really pushes them for pre-snap reads. But it's just, handoff, not handoff. Do I pull it or do I throw it? It's just that little triple RPO type thing going on. And I would say that's the only difference. And I'll say this, Coach Petrino, for the most part, you know what you're going to do when you break the huddle. Mallet was probably the best at going off script based off what he saw. Even if Coach Petrino was like, what are you doing? Mallet had the skin thick enough to take that ass chewing on the sideline for thinking he feels something, and he go ahead and switch it at the line. And if it ends up being wrong and Coach Petrino, ripped him a new one, Mallet had thick skin for that, and he did that often. That's what made him so special. And I think it made Coach Petrino respect him as well. You got to trust his gut. Coach Garrett McGee was the quarterback coach, and Coach Garrett McGee had that great relationship of, hey, I know Coach Petrino saying this, hey, man, but if you see it, he would give confidence to his players. And you know where Coach Garrett McGee is now? He's coaching quarterbacks at North Carolina with Coach Petrino as his offensive coordinator and Bill Belichick as his head coach. You talk about a little coaching lineup. They got that over there. Now, how that translate over to college football, it's a different ball game. Hold on. I had my teeth cleaned today. I'm finally getting sensation back on the left side of my face. Not gonna lie, man. That little numbing stuff they put in there, it's tough. But I held it down. I was a little scared. Not too bad, though. Y'all got some really bad calls in that Auburn game. Wasn't somebody's knee down and they ended up giving somebody a touchdown anyway? I'm pretty sure that happened. God, don't tell me about that game. It's awful, awful, awful. Yes, I can. Hold on one second. Girlfriend's parents are in town. I'm going to go say bye to them. They're about to leave. They're downstairs. Y'all sit back, relax. I'll be right back. I'm not going to leave you just staring at a blank screen. Let me throw this up real quick. Actually, I'm going to hit you with something that we got tomorrow. So tomorrow, one of the questions I'm going to ask the guys on the morning show, I just saw the movie Michael with Michael Jackson, and, a lot of debates are talking about who has the biggest star power. And so I came up with 5 artists, all right? 5 artists. And I'm curious about, out of these 5, which one have the most star power, all right? I got the Beatles, I got Beyonce, Elvis, Michael Jackson, and Taylor Swift. All right. So out of these 5, rank them from most star power to least star power. And I'll be right back as I go say bye to my girlfriend's parents. See you in a little bit. I'll read the comments here in a second. We go. I'm back. Had to say goodbye to my girlfriend's folks. All right, let's see, what did we come up with while I was gone? See if anybody commented from most star power to least. Where is... All right, we're back. All right, what we got? Let me go ahead and read through this chat. Sorry for the delay. Oh, all right. Thank you, Razorback Pride. Yeah, my hair is starting to come in some good shape. Remember, I had that little hair transplant thing. See, you can see where the line is. See, it's real dark. So I haven't touched any of this, and it's slowly coming in. And then it's cool. It's crazy how they do that stuff nowadays, right? All right. So Beth says Michael, hands down, #1. I wanted you to rank them for me. All right, let's keep going through this. Okay, we did. Sorry. Beth has Michael #1. Got Taylor as #2. Beyonce is 3. Beatles 4. Elvis 5. Okay. From star power, the top one to the least. All right. Here we go. This is from Alex Shirley. It says MJ with the most. Elvis close. Taylor the least out of the group. Hey, I don't know if you know about those Swifties out there, Alex. You better be careful. They'll come hunt you down. All right, here we go. This is from Dennis Mitchell. It says, depends on the age, but for me, it goes Elvis, MJ, Beatles, T Swift, Beyonce. Wow. All right, Lance Swoop, #1 spot, Beatles. Then he gives it to Michael, Elvis, Beyonce. Lance, you better be careful. They're going to come find you, man. I'm telling you, man, these Swifties are wild. Whew. They're loyal, though. I won't even say that. That's almost as bad as calling Coach Petrino by his first name. All right, my mom says Elvis, Michael, Taylor, Beyonce, and the Beatles. I must have missed the whole Elvis kick, right? Obviously, by my age. But was Elvis really like that? Like on Michael Jackson level? Was he? I mean, people in here trying to say so. All right, Chris Caver likes the Beatles the best of these, but Michael. All right, giving Michael the star power. Donna, Taylor Swift #1. Woo! Then Michael, Elvis, Beyonce, then the Beatles in last place. All right, here we go. Chris tightened up his answer. I like the Beatles the best, but MJ was as famous as a person has ever been. Yeah, I was watching that biopic, and if it depicts anything of reality, he was him. Thanks, Alex. All right. Here we go. If you go by right now, Popsy says Swifties, MJ, Elvis, Beyonce, Beatles. You're saying right now you're putting Elvis over Beyonce? You know, I think her people are called the Beehive. Got to be careful for them too. They'll come and get you. This is fun. Caver giving us a little bit more. Number 1, MJ, 2, Beatles, 3, Elvis, Beyonce. Didn't even put the last one. Wow. All right. Donna says she's a Swiftie and she's 68. You're not 68, Donna. Are you? You look great. Ebony says got to watch the Elvis biopic. Ebony tried to tell me yesterday that Beyonce had more star power than Michael Jackson. Now, if I know my girlfriend on cue, she's going to put a comment in the chat claiming that she didn't say that and that it's not true. Watch. Elvis literally made movies and was in the military, putting in that work. Yeah, I was thinking about, see, that's the thing. Who did I leave out? I was going through a couple names. Star power. Like when you think about the concerts and the arenas and people just losing their mind when they walk by, they have this aura about them. I didn't know if Johnny Cash was in that top 5 area. Now, granted, I'm not too familiar with the catalog and what it was like back there with the Man in Black, Arkansas native. I don't know. I'm trying to think who else could potentially be on this list. I thought George Strait, but I would say George Strait is a little bit more just legend than star power. I don't know. Dolly? Whitney Houston? Lady Gaga? I don't know. Now she says Michael, Beyonce, Taylor, Elvis, and the Beatles. Now, she did say this. Girlfriend said that she thinks the Beatles are overrated. And I agree. I think they're a little overrated. Now, are they trendsetters? Did they really get things going? Moving in the right direction? Iconic? I give them that. And they write some good songs. But I think they're just a little overrated. Jonathan Armstrong joins the conversation. It's hard depending on the generations. Oh. Why is Prince not on my list? I knew I was forgetting somebody. Would he be on that list, though? Did Prince have it? Prince didn't have it like Michael. No. Ain't no way. I thought I had some Prince in the system. I got to keep that in the system. Hold on, I might. I do got a little Prince in the system. Yeah. I don't know. Probably could have made it. All right. Here we go. 69. First of all, do I just need to start talking about stuff like this? I'm getting so much engagement. Not even talking about football. All right. I like it, though. I'm curious about, how about this? I'm reading here. I'll go ahead and pull these up right now. Prince star power. I get it. I get it. Beatles first boy band, bringing it to the table. Now we're getting through some of these comments. Beth says, yeah, but Michael's truly a phenomenon. He did bring rival gangs together. Not just here, but in Brazil as well. Alex says, agree on the Beatles. Overrated. Tupac. I don't know. Tupac had, I don't know if he is in this realm, you know, but I respect that, Alex. I respect it. Landon, MJ, Elvis, Swift, Beyonce. That's my order. Which one would you pick to be on the show? Well, that's where it gets weird. Like, would I invite this person on to like help benefit my show? Then you probably go with Taylor Swift, you know, because you see what she's done for New Heights. I mean, New Heights was already good without her, but man, whew, they sold their podcast for like $30 million. All right, I'll take one for the team. I don't know how Michael would do as far as like interview. What, you know what I mean? You know, he's very, very. I don't know if it'd be very engaging. Beyonce Beyonce is a little mysterious as well. I don't know what we would, if it'd be a good back and forth. The Beatles, that'd be probably pretty engaging. You got 4 of them, talks about some stories. But I think Taylor, especially her trying to get into the whole football scene, it'd probably be a good interview, go back and forth. Yeah. Probably do that. Ray Charles, Whitney Houston, you think they missed the list? All right, this is what I want y'all to do. So I'm bringing this question up tomorrow for the Blitz. And I'm going to hear what the guys say, what their arguments are, ranking from best to the least best, I guess. What do you think Grant is going to pick first as far as the most star power? And what do you think Keesay is the least star power? And the same thing for Josh. What do you think they're going to say? I thought about putting Madonna in there. Did she have big concerts like that back in the day? Maybe. Star power, here we go. Good one from Dennis. Star power equals awestruck audience that goes nuts. Your choices were good choices. They affected crowds in that way. Never liked the Beatles, but they had that effect. Thank you. That's why I went with those. Thank you. That was this comment right here from Dennis Mitchell. Lance says Josh is a Swiftie. He might be one by default from his girlfriend. I'm not sure. While we're talking about tomorrow, let me give you an idea of what's coming up tomorrow on the show. Some interesting topics. Did that go off? Sure did. It's back. All right. Let's get Prince out of here for a second. Do like Prince, though. Bring back this real quick. All right. For tomorrow morning, 6 to 7 a.m., you can always watch it after. That's a great thing about being on a digital platform. You can watch it at your convenience. We got a couple, in case you miss it, stories. Did y'all hear about the update of the player who got shot from Missouri? This is the graphic I made. Ahmad Hardy. He's probably going to be one of the better backs in the SEC next year. He got shot at a party. There were a couple suspects that were apprehended. Wild thing is that the 3 suspects, they were on his high school football team. They all knew each other, That makes it a little bit more interesting. At first, I thought maybe it was just like an innocent bystander. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now it's looking like they knew him. And that's the thing about NIL money nowadays. I was talking to my guy Darren Hood about this, and we'll talk about this more in depth tomorrow morning. But these players come from neighborhoods. They go off, they play football, then they go back. Back in the day, it was just like I'm hanging out with my homie. We were still doing all the same things. Nowadays, they're going back with $400,000, $600,000 in their pocket. And sometimes, depending on what hood you come from, they're kind of like, hey, you trying to get us some bread, probably walking around with chains on. You got all the jewelry looking real good. God, it's dangerous, man. I'm glad he's okay. I heard that he was leaving the hospital today, but that's scary. That's scary, scary stuff. Didn't know that there was a potential connection. Did not know that. All right. Let me run through a few more things that we're talking about tomorrow, then we'll wrap this up. All right. So once again, tune in tomorrow morning, 6 to 7 a.m. It really goes like 7:15. Grant's always like, can you wrap this up? Because I got to go to work. Another thing we're talking about, ESPN saying no to the college football team playoff. You would think they would like it because they get more money out of it, but there's more to the story. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Also, we're going to be talking about Steve Sarkisian. We talked about him today, taking shots at Ole Miss. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about his stance on potentially having the SEC leave the NCAA. Very interesting talker. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. If you want more details, that should be a good one as well. Our main topic tomorrow, they're getting creative when it comes to the NIL. And so I don't know if you know Matt Rule. I think I'm saying his name right. Yeah, Matt Rule. He's the head coach over there at Nebraska. He just has his new NIL deal with the school. I was like, coaches get NIL too? What are we doing? He has a podcast that they're going to have the rights to, essentially, that he's going to continue to do. But it got me thinking about are there some very interesting new creative ways that we could take advantage of NIL to maybe compensate a coach? And now you're saving some money instead of it coming from the school. You got an NIL deal with other companies paying for it. And what it can do for recruiting, all types. So we're going to talk about the potential creative ways to take advantage of the NIL to help out that pocketbook for each and every school. Another topic we're going to talk about, Best of Arkansas Sports. Once again, I say I love them. They do a really good job. Andrew Hutchinson, he's been crushing this tennis coverage, all right? I was reading something today that Hunter Yurchek could be in a little pickle when it comes to Title IX issues since he cut these programs. And there's a potential loophole around it. And that loophole being he could potentially entertain bringing women's flag football to Arkansas. We talked about this, I'm going to say maybe a month ago, how there was a school that offered the first player a scholarship to join the new women's flag football team. It's rising in popularity. This is an intramural sport, but are they going to make this official? You would need enough teams to show up for this to happen. Wow, though, right? We'll talk about that in depth as well. Also, we just went through the Blitz. We got a fun trivia. Thursdays, I'm always going to try to do trivia. So I got some Razorback trivia questions. And this one, actually, I've been going back and forth. I use my Crowd Party app, and you can play along at home. I may even do that just for fun. I'll keep track of Josh and Grant's, but y'all can play along if you want to. I'll give you the code tomorrow morning if you want to hang out. Chris Cavers said that, how does Coach have time for a podcast? Great question. Jerry Aldridge, I actually said the NCAA should kick the SEC and Big Ten out. Interesting. Talking about leaving the NCAA. Dennis says, hell no after cutting tennis. Yeah, could you imagine that? That'd be wild, right? That would be wild. So like I said, we got a lot of topics tomorrow. Hold on, one more from Dennis. DJ, let me pull this one up real quick. Sorry, Dennis. Here we go. DJ, you were in the world of special athletes. Thank you. Did you experience guys that were just bad news but simply played too well not to play? Yes, all the time. It's just about, do they get in their own way? And a lot of them end up not making it, especially once they get to the NFL. Like, God, the biggest one, Justin Blackmon. I don't know if y'all know him. He was top 5 draft pick. This would have been my year, 2011 draft. He won the award for the best receiver in college football. He got drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Insane talent out of Oklahoma State. I've never seen anything like this guy. This dude first of all, I didn't get to see him practice often because this is after I got cut from Green Bay. I went to Jacksonville. So year 3 or 4, he's already into it, but he didn't practice the first 4 weeks of the season because he was suspended for marijuana positive tests. All right. And so when he was unsuspended and got back to practice, I was just like, wow, I've never seen someone with that type of hand-eye coordination. It was special. And he caught everything. I saw him like on a basket. He was skinny, maybe about my height. He got on a basketball court and did like a 360 in between his legs. I was just like, oh my God, special. We played on the West Coast, Jacksonville, East Coast. We played on the West Coast. We had the Raiders one week and then Seattle the next. So we stayed out there all week, okay? We stayed in California that whole week practicing because we didn't want to go back and forth. And when I tell you, we had a couple days where we could go out and do whatever we wanted to do. The first time I went out with Justin Blackmon, I said, he ain't going to make it. I said, I don't know how he's even here right now as far as not being suspended. I mean, I just, you see all that talent, and he's already got in trouble. He already got suspended. You would think enough things would send up the warning shot of like, let me tighten up and let me take advantage of this God-given ability I have to make millions and millions and millions of dollars and set my family up and, get to a good place. Some people just don't care. And I just, that's what's scary, man. You can tell them they have all the talent in the world. They just don't care. Same thing with like Josh Gordon when he was at Cleveland. Like all you had to do is just not smoke and you're good to go. He just could not stop smoking. And the thing about the NFL when it comes to drug tests, just to kind of give you a little insight on this. So when you show up to camp and they let you know, hey, we show up to camp, you're going to have a drug test in that first week. Okay. And that's the only time of the year that we would get tested for what you would call street drugs. So marijuana, what other drugs you can fill in the blanks. But that was a big enough sign that coaches would actually reach out to players that they knew partaked in marijuana or whatever, said, hey, you're about 2 months away from this. Can you start, doing what you need to do to make sure you pass this test? Because once you pass that one in camp, you don't get tested for street drugs not one more time the rest of the year. You're good to go. You do get randomly tested for PEDs throughout the year, and you never know when that's going to happen. So that will always be a thing. But once you get popped for the marijuana, all right, sorry, I lost y'all for a second. I wasn't looking at my little screen over there, so I don't know what y'all last heard, but yeah, came across some pretty wild players. All right. So, all right, y'all. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the show. I think y'all are there. I just had a notification on my computer saying that we lost signal, which I don't even know how is possible. DJ speaking the truth. It got cut. I did. All right, y'all. We're going to go and wrap this thing up. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be a jam-packed show. Hopefully, y'all can hang out with me in the morning. It's been great. Love the support as always, but especially here for tonight. Thanks for hanging out, for viewer comments. Like I said, we're going to try to do this every Wednesday around the same time. So hang out with us. Oh, super chat coming in. I got one more to get in. Can't leave without my super chat. Chris Caver says, what do you remember about playing Oakland? Did they have... Yes. Oh. Chris, why do you got to do this to me? I got a story to tell. God, I was so stupid. Just a big dum-dum. DJ was a big dum-dum. All right. I remember that game like it was yesterday. All right. Because we were playing against Oakland on the baseball field, I guess. And it was like 4th and 4. And I was on the punt return team. All right. We did a good job. Defense did what they needed to do. Get them off the field. 4th and 4. I'm on the punt return team. Boom. Try to, do my try to get the block punt. Don't get it. Go down. Bump a block field. Running off the field. But there's a whistle. Flag on the play. Oh, no. What happened? Number 85 lined up offsides in the neutral zone. I was like, I'm number 85. We were in the dirt, and you really can't see the lines, and my hand was over the... That's like I damn near cut myself after that. That's so stupid. Haunts me. Big dum-dum. Big dum-dum. Somebody said, since I said, you said once you got popped for... No, I did not get popped for marijuana. Not me. What are you talking about? All right, y'all. Let's wrap this thing up. Yes, Chris, I played down there on that field. It's awful. I don't know how they let that go on as long as possible. All right, y'all. Once again, appreciate y'all for hanging out. Viewer comments. Wednesday nights around 7 o'clock. We're going to try to do this. Let's build it. You ask, I answer. Tune in tomorrow morning for the morning huddle. Y'all have a great night.